Imagine a hidden light within you, a divine spark from the Creator himself, pulsing through every vein and breath, capable of banishing illness forever, if only you awaken it through the eternal wisdom of the Qur'an. I, Muhyiddin Ibn Arabi, the humble seeker of divine truths, have journeyed through the veils of existence to uncover these secrets, where the body is no mere vessel, but a reflection of Allah's infinite mercy, healing itself when aligned with His word. Listen closely, for what follows are 7 powerful lessons drawn from the Qur'an's depths, lessons that can shield you from sickness and restore the harmony of your being. 1. The divine light within the body. Understand this gently and without strain. Your body is not an accident, not a random arrangement of flesh, bone, and blood. It is a deliberate act of divine artistry. The Qur'an tells us that when Allah created the human being, He fashioned the form carefully and then breathed into it from His spirit. This breath, the ruh, is not symbolic language. It is the source of life, awareness, and inner balance. Your body carries this divine light within it at every moment, whether you are aware of it or not. This light is not something you must search for in distant places or complicated rituals. It already flows through your breath, your heartbeat, and your awareness. Every cell in your body is sustained by it. When this light flows freely, the body naturally inclines toward balance, repair, and harmony. When it becomes veiled by neglect, distraction, or inner turmoil, imbalance begins to appear. What we call illness often begins long before the body shows symptoms. It begins when this inner light is ignored. Many people treat the body like a machine that eventually breaks down, but the Quranic view is different. The body is an amana, a trust, and a mirror. It reflects the state of the heart. When the heart is aligned, the body follows. When the heart is scattered, burdened by fear, resentment, or forgetfulness, the body quietly absorbs this strain until it can no longer compensate. The divine light within you is not weak. It is powerful beyond measure, but it responds to attention and remembrance. Just as a lamp brightens when supplied with oil, the inner light strengthens when nourished with awareness of Allah. This is why remembrance is not only a spiritual act, it is a physical one. When you remember Allah sincerely, the nervous system calms, the breath deepens, and the body shifts from survival into repair. The Quran describes Allah as the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden. When you reflect on this verse, something subtle happens inside you. You begin to sense that Allah is not distant from your body, watching from afar. He is present within your existence, closer than your own awareness. This realization softens inner tension. The body no longer feels abandoned or burdened with carrying life alone. Disease, in many cases, is not an enemy attacking from outside. It is a signal, a message that something within needs attention, realignment, or rest. When the divine light dims, the body compensates for as long as it can. Eventually, it asks to be heard. Healing, then, is not forcing the body to comply, but restoring the flow of light that allows it to heal itself. This is why sincerity matters more than technique. You do not awaken the inner light by reciting mechanically or rushing through words. You awaken it by presence, by pausing, by allowing the meanings to descend from the tongue into the heart. When you remember Allah with awareness, the body recognizes safety. In safety, healing begins. In my contemplations, I have witnessed that the body possesses a natural intelligence placed within it by the Creator. It knows how to repair, regenerate, and defend itself when it is not overwhelmed by inner chaos. Stress, fear, and constant mental noise interrupt this intelligence. Remembrance restores it. This is not mysticism detached from reality. It is alignment with the way Allah designed the human being. Consider how the Quran repeatedly links guidance with life and misguidance with constriction. A constricted chest is not only emotional, it is physical. Breathing becomes shallow, circulation tightens, and energy stagnates. When the chest expands through remembrance and trust, oxygen deepens, blood flows freely, and the body returns to balance. You do not need to fight illness with fear. Fear strengthens it. Instead, you turn toward the light already placed within you. Sit quietly. Breathe slowly. Recall that Allah is Al-Hayy, the ever-living, and that He sustains you at this very moment. Let this awareness sink into your body. Over time, this remembrance reshapes your inner environment so that illness finds no fertile ground to settle. The light within you was never absent. It was only covered. Each moment of sincere remembrance lifts one layer of the veil. Each moment of trust allows the body to rest in the divine order it was created upon. This is how healing begins, not by force, but by return. 2. The healing power of Quranic recitation. To understand the healing power of the Qur'an, you must first release the idea that healing only works in visible, mechanical ways. The Qur'an does not heal merely because it is recited aloud, but because it carries divine order, meaning, and mercy that realign the human being at levels deeper than thought. Allah Himself declares that He sends down from the Qur'an that which is healing and mercy for the believers. This is not poetry or metaphor, it is a statement of function. The human body is not only flesh, it is vibration, rhythm, and pattern. Your heartbeat follows a rhythm. Your breath follows a rhythm. Your nervous system responds to sound, tone, and cadence long before the mind analyzes meaning. The Qur'an enters at this level first. Even when a person does not fully understand Arabic, the recitation still reaches the body because its effect does not depend on intellect alone. When the Qur'an is recited, it restores harmony where there is inner noise. Many illnesses are born from prolonged inattention, grief held too long, fear repeated silently, stress carried without rest. These states disturb the body's natural balance. The Qur'an calms this disturbance, not by suppressing it, but by reminding the body of its original order under Allah. Notice how the Qur'an is recited slowly, with pauses, elongations, and measured breath. This is not accidental. Proper recitation naturally slows the breath, steadies the heart rate, and quiets the nervous system. When the body leaves a state of constant alert, it enters a state of repair. Healing requires stillness, and the Qur'an creates this stillness gently. The words of the Qur'an are not neutral sounds. They carry meanings that remind the heart of truth, that you are not alone, that Allah is near, that mercy surrounds you even when you feel broken. When the heart absorbs these meanings, it releases burdens it has been carrying silently. As the heart softens, the body follows. Muscles release tension, sleep improves, energy returns. This is why prolonged listening and recitation have effects that medicine alone cannot reach. Medicine may address symptoms, but the Qur'an addresses the inner environment in which those symptoms arose. It cleanses the unseen roots. When the roots are nourished, the branches heal naturally. Recitation also strengthens what can be called inner immunity. The Qur'an repeatedly reminds you that Allah is the protector, the sustainer, the one who manages all affairs. When this belief settles deeply, fear diminishes. Fear weakens the body over time. Trust strengthens it. A body that feels safe is a body that heals faster. Do not rush the Qur'an. Healing does not respond to haste. Choose a quiet moment. Sit or lie comfortably. Allow the sound to wash over you rather than forcing concentration. Even listening attentively is an act of worship. Let the verses pass through your ears into your chest. Over time, the body begins to recognize these sounds as nourishment. Certain verses speak directly to inner fatigue, sadness, and heaviness of the chest. When these states lift, physical symptoms often follow. This is because the separation between emotional and physical pain is smaller than most people realize. The Quran heals both together, without distinction. Consistency matters more than duration. A short, daily recitation with presence is more powerful than long recitation without awareness. The body learns through repetition. When it hears the Quran regularly, it begins to associate it with calm, safety, and clarity. This association itself becomes healing. The Quran also realigns intention. When a person listens or recites seeking closeness to Allah rather than merely relief from pain, the effect deepens. Healing becomes a byproduct of alignment, not the sole objective. In this alignment, the body no longer resists life, it flows with it. Understand this clearly. The Quran does not override Allah's wisdom or decree, it harmonizes you with it. Sometimes healing means recovery. Sometimes it means strength in patience. Sometimes it means clarity that removes inner suffering, even if the body is still tested. All of these are forms of cure. The Quran does not promise a life without tests, but it promises that no test is without mercy embedded within it. When this truth settles in the heart, the body stops fighting reality, resistance dissolves. Acceptance restores balance. Recite, listen, and sit with the Quran not as a remedy you use, but as a presence you return to. Let it become familiar to your body, like a trusted voice. Over time, you will notice that ailments lose their grip, not because you forced them away, but because the environment they thrived in no longer exists. 3. Moderation in sustenance as divine balance. To understand moderation, you must first see food not as an enemy, nor as a pleasure meant to be chased endlessly, but as a trust placed in your hands by Allah. The Quran does not teach denial of nourishment, nor does it praise excess. It teaches balance. This balance is not only moral, it is deeply physical and spiritual. Your body responds to what you eat, how much you eat, and the state of your heart while eating. Allah commands His messengers to eat what is pure and wholesome and to act righteously. This connection between nourishment and action is deliberate. What enters the body shapes the mind, and the mind shapes behavior. When food is taken with excess, haste, or heedlessness, it does not merely burden digestion, it dulls awareness. A dulled awareness slowly distances the heart from remembrance, and this distance creates inner heaviness that the body must carry. The human body was created with precise wisdom. It does not require constant fullness to thrive. In fact, constant fullness disrupts its natural intelligence. When the stomach is overloaded, energy is diverted away from repair, clarity, and vitality toward managing excess. Over time, this creates fatigue, sluggishness, and vulnerability to illness. The body becomes busy coping instead of healing. Moderation preserves clarity. When you eat with restraint, the body remains light, the breath stays open, and the mind remains alert. This state allows the inner light to circulate freely. Hunger in moderation sharpens awareness, excess dulls it. This is why many spiritual traditions emphasize restraint, not to punish the body, but to free it. Eating less does not weaken you when done with wisdom. It strengthens the body's systems and gives them space to function properly. The Quran repeatedly warns against excess because excess disrupts balance. Balance is the language of creation. Everything Allah created operates within limits and measures. When you exceed those measures, disharmony appears. Food also carries states. What you eat influences not only your physical health, but your emotional and spiritual state. Wholesome, lawful food nourishes gently. Food taken in excess or with greed carries restlessness into the body. Over time, this restlessness becomes anxiety, irritability, or heaviness of the chest. These states weaken resistance to illness. Moderation teaches the body trust. When you eat slowly, with gratitude, the body feels safe. Safety signals the nervous system to relax. Relaxation allows digestion to improve and inflammation to reduce. Healing happens most effectively when the body is not rushed or stressed. Even the act of chewing calmly is an act of remembrance when done with awareness. The Prophet taught that a few morsels are sufficient to keep the back straight, and that if one must eat more, then 1/3 for food, 1/3 for drink, and 1/3 for breath. This teaching is not symbolic. It is a precise map for preserving internal balance. When breath is restricted by fullness, vitality declines. When breath flows freely, life force remains strong. Overeating clouds perception. It creates heaviness not only in the stomach but in the heart. The heart becomes less responsive, less sensitive to subtle guidance. Over time, this dullness makes it harder to recognize inner signals before illness manifests. Moderation keeps perception sharp, allowing you to sense imbalance early and correct it gently. Illness rarely appears suddenly. It builds quietly through habits repeated without awareness. Eating past fullness is one such habit. It teaches the body to ignore its own signals. Eventually, the body stops speaking softly and begins to speak through pain. Moderation restores dialogue between you and your body. Choose foods that are simple and nourishing rather than stimulating and excessive. Simplicity supports clarity. Heavy, overly processed foods burden the body with work it was not designed to perform. When the body is constantly working to manage poor nourishment, it has little energy left for renewal. Moderation is also about timing. Eating late at night, eating constantly without rest, or eating while distracted all disrupt rhythm. The body thrives on rhythm. When you respect its cycles, it responds with strength. When you ignore them, weakness appears. Gratitude transforms nourishment. When you thank Allah before and after eating, you align intention with sustenance. This alignment improves digestion and contentment. Contentment itself is healing. A heart that is content does not overconsume. It trusts provision. Moderation is not deprivation. It is mercy toward the body. It allows the divine light within you to remain unobstructed. When the body is light, the soul feels closer. When the soul feels closer, healing becomes natural. Begin gently. Do not force change. Reduce excess slowly. Listen to your body's signals. Eat when hungry, stop before fullness, and eat with presence. Over time, the body will regain its natural balance, and illness will find little space to grow. 4. The alchemy of elemental harmony. To understand elemental harmony, you must first let go of the idea that your body is separate from the rest of creation. The Qur'an reminds us that the human being was created from dust, shaped with care, and brought to life by the divine command. This means your body carries within it the same principles that govern the earth, the sky, heat, cold, dryness, and moisture. You are a living reflection of the balance Allah placed in the universe. Illness does not arise randomly. It appears when balance is disturbed. Just as the earth becomes barren when rain is withheld or floods when it exceeds its limits, the body suffers when its internal elements fall out of harmony. Too much heat creates agitation, inflammation, and restlessness. Too much cold leads to stagnation, heaviness, and weakness. Excess dryness hardens the system, while excess moisture slows it down. Healing begins by restoring balance, not by fighting symptoms in isolation. This is the true meaning of alchemy in the spiritual path. It is not the transformation of metals, but the refinement of inner states until harmony is restored. The Quran teaches that Allah brings life from lifelessness and order from apparent chaos. The same principle applies within you. When inner elements are aligned, the body naturally returns to health. Prayer is one of the most powerful tools for restoring this balance. The movements of Salah are not only acts of worship, they are acts of alignment. Standing grounds you, bowing releases tension from the spine and organs. Prostration shifts blood flow, calms the mind, and humbles the ego. Sitting restores stillness. Each position gently circulates energy and balances internal states without force. Breath plays a central role in elemental harmony. Shallow, rushed breathing increases inner heat and tension. Slow, deep breathing cools agitation and stabilizes the nervous system. When you combine breath with awareness of Allah, balance deepens. The Quran repeatedly connects life to breath, reminding you that every inhalation is a gift and every exhalation a release. Your emotional states directly influence elemental balance. Prolonged anger overheats the system. Persistent sadness cools and slows it. Fear dries the body, while constant indulgence creates heaviness. These states are not moral failures, they are signals. When emotions remain unacknowledged, the body compensates until imbalance appears as illness. The Quran teaches moderation not only in food, but in emotion, action, and thought. Excess in any direction creates strain. Balance is not rigid control, it is fluid adjustment. Some days require rest, others movement. Some moments require silence, others expression. Wisdom lies in responding, not forcing. Water holds special significance in restoring balance. Allah describes water as the source of all life. Hydration is not merely physical, it is symbolic of mercy, flow, and renewal. Drinking water with awareness, gratitude, and calm helps cool excess heat and restore internal rhythm. Water carries intention. When taken mindfully, it becomes a means of healing. Sleep is another pillar of elemental harmony. The body repairs itself during rest. When sleep is neglected or irregular, imbalance accumulates. The Quran describes sleep as a sign of mercy, a temporary return to stillness. Honoring sleep is honoring divine design. A rested body maintains balance more easily than an exhausted one. Movement, when gentle and intentional, restores flow. Stillness is healing, but stagnation is not. Walking, stretching, and prayer keep elements circulating. Excessive force, however, creates new imbalance. The body responds best to kindness, not punishment. Movement should feel like cooperation, not resistance. Nature itself teaches balance. Exposure to natural light regulates internal rhythms. Fresh air clears stagnation. Earth grounds excess mental activity. The Quran invites reflection on creation because creation restores harmony by reminding the body of its origin. Time spent in nature recalibrates what constant stimulation disturbs. Inner balance also requires acceptance. Fighting reality creates internal friction. Acceptance does not mean passivity, it means alignment with what is. When the heart stops resisting, the body relaxes. Relaxation is not weakness, it is the doorway to repair. Healing through elemental harmony is gradual. The body adjusts layer by layer. Sudden change often shocks the system. Gentle consistency restores trust. When the body trusts you, it heals more readily. Understand this clearly. Allah did not design the body to be fragile. He designed it to be adaptive. When supported with balance, it becomes resilient. When overwhelmed, it falters. Your role is not to control every outcome, but to maintain harmony as best you can. When inner elements return to balance, illness loses its foundation. Health becomes the natural state, not something to chase. This balance is not perfection, it is responsiveness. Listening to the body, honoring its signals, and aligning with divine order. 5. Remembrance of Allah as eternal vitality. To understand remembrance, you must move beyond thinking of it as words repeated on the tongue. Dhikr is not repetition meant to fill silence, it is a return to awareness. Allah calls the heart to remember Him in every state, standing, sitting, and lying down, because remembrance is meant to flow through life itself. When remembrance becomes constant, vitality follows naturally. The human body was not created to live in separation from its source. When it does, fatigue appears without clear reason. Energy drains even when rest is taken. This is not always physical weakness, it is spiritual disconnection expressing itself through the body. Remembrance restores the connection that sustains life at its root. Every cell responds to presence. When the mind is scattered, the body feels unsafe. When awareness returns to Allah, the body relaxes. Relaxation is not merely comfort, it is the state in which repair occurs. Stress keeps the body in defense mode. Dhikr shifts it into renewal mode. When you say La ilaha illallah with presence, you are not only affirming belief, you are dissolving inner fragmentation. The phrase removes false centers of control that burden the heart. As the heart lightens, the body follows. Many chronic tensions are simply the physical weight of carrying what was never meant to be carried alone. The heart is the command center of the body. When it is restless, the entire system becomes restless. The Qur'an tells us clearly that hearts find rest in the remembrance of Allah. This rest is not emotional numbness, it is alignment. In alignment, the body no longer wastes energy resisting life. Energy returns to circulation, digestion, immunity, and clarity. Remembrance slows time internally. When time slows, awareness deepens, the breath lengthens, the muscles soften, blood pressure steadies. These changes are not imagined, they are the body's response to safety. Dhikr teaches the body that it is held, guided, and protected. A heart that remembers Allah regularly does not cling excessively to fear. Fear accelerates aging and weakens vitality. Trust restores it. This is why remembrance is described as life itself. A body nourished by remembrance does not age in the same way as one burdened by constant anxiety and resistance. Remembrance also purifies intention. When actions are rooted in awareness of Allah, inner conflict reduces. Inner conflict drains energy, clarity restores it. Many people feel exhausted not because they do too much, but because they are divided within themselves. Dhikr reunifies the inner world. Consistency matters more than intensity. A few moments of sincere remembrance, repeated daily, shape the body more deeply than occasional long sessions. The body learns patterns. When remembrance becomes familiar, the nervous system recognizes it as home. Home is where healing happens. Remembrance does not remove all hardship, but it removes inner struggle against hardship. This distinction is crucial. The body can endure difficulty when the heart is steady. It breaks down when the heart is fighting reality. Dhikr stabilizes the heart so the body can endure and recover. Do not force remembrance. Let it be gentle. Let it accompany the breath. Let it enter moments of stillness naturally. The softer the remembrance, the deeper it reaches. Loud repetition may energize, but quiet presence heals. Over time, remembrance reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as a fragile being fighting decay. You begin to experience yourself as a life-sustained moment by Allah. This shift alone restores strength. Vitality is not created, it is uncovered. When remembrance fills the inner space, illness finds little room to settle. not because the body becomes invincible, but because it becomes aligned. Alignment is resilience. Resilience is health. 6. Trust in Allah's provision and protection. To understand true trust, you must see how deeply fear shapes the human body. Worry is not just a thought, it is a state that tightens the chest, shortens the breath, and places the body in constant alert. When the body remains in this state for too long, exhaustion appears, immunity weakens, and illness finds easy entry. Tawakkul, true reliance on Allah, is not an abstract belief. It is a physiological and spiritual reset. Allah promises clearly that whoever relies upon Him, He is sufficient for them. This sufficiency is not limited to provision of wealth or safety from external harm. It includes inner sufficiency, calmness of the heart, steadiness of the mind, and resilience of the body. When the heart believes it must manage everything alone, the body suffers under that weight. When the heart releases this burden to Allah, the body relaxes into balance. Trust does not mean denial of effort. It means releasing attachment to outcomes. Many people take care of their health yet remain anxious, constantly monitoring symptoms, fearing decline, and anticipating loss. This fear itself becomes harmful. The Qur'an teaches that provision and lifespan are already measured. When this truth settles deeply, the nervous system softens. A softened nervous system heals more efficiently. Worry fractures attention. The mind jumps to imagined futures while the body remains stuck in present tension. Tawakkul reunites the present moment with divine care. When you trust that Allah is managing what you cannot see, the body no longer wastes energy on vigilance. Energy returns to repair, digestion, and restoration. Trust also corrects the illusion of control. The human being was never meant to control life, only to participate in it. Trying to dominate every outcome creates inner conflict. Conflict tightens the body. Surrender loosens it. This loosening is not weakness, it is wisdom. It allows life to move through you without obstruction. Many illnesses worsen not because of their severity, but because of fear layered upon fear. Trust peels these layers away. It replaces panic with patience, tension with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean liking hardship. It means no longer resisting reality. Resistance consumes enormous energy. Acceptance frees it. The heart that trusts Allah stops interpreting difficulty as abandonment. It begins to see every moment as held within mercy, even when the wisdom is not immediately visible. This perception changes the body's response to stress. Stress hormones decrease, immune responses stabilize, sleep improves, healing accelerates. Trust also strengthens the will to live. When a person believes their life has meaning beyond immediate comfort, resilience increases. The Qur'an constantly reminds the believer that nothing happens without wisdom. This reminder anchors the heart. An anchored heart stabilizes the body. Tawakkul teaches timing. Many people rush healing, demanding immediate results. This impatience creates frustration. Frustration creates tension. Trust allows processes to unfold naturally. The body heals in layers, not leaps. When you trust timing, the body follows its own wisdom without interference. Trust also dissolves loneliness. Feeling alone weakens the spirit. Feeling supported strengthens it. When you truly believe Allah is nearer to you than your own breath, isolation dissolves. This sense of nearness nourishes the heart and, through it, the body. You do not need to convince yourself forcefully to trust. Trust grows through remembrance, reflection, and lived experience. Each time you survive what you feared would break you, trust deepens. Each time provision arrives unexpectedly, trust strengthens. Over time, the body learns that fear is unnecessary. Illness, when it comes, does not always signal failure. Sometimes it signals refinement. Trust allows you to learn without despair. Despair hardens the heart. Trust softens it. A soft heart heals more quickly than a hardened one. Trust is not passive. It is an active surrender. You act where action is required, and you release what is beyond you. This balance preserves energy. Preserved energy sustains health. When trust becomes natural, the body no longer lives in anticipation of harm. It lives in expectation of mercy. Expectation shapes experience. A body expecting mercy responds differently than one expecting danger. 7. Compassion and the opened heart. To understand compassion, you must first recognize how deeply the heart shapes the body. The Qur'an begins with mercy because mercy is the original atmosphere of existence. When the heart closes, the body tightens. When the heart opens, the body softens. This is not symbolic language. The chest literally expands with ease when the heart is gentle, and it constricts when the heart is hardened by resentment, blame, or grief held too long. Many illnesses are not born from weakness, but from contraction. Emotional contraction, spiritual contraction, and mental contraction all settle into the body over time. The body carries what the heart refuses to release. Compassion is the act of release. It restores flow where stagnation has formed. Allah describes himself as the most merciful and the most compassionate, not only to define his nature, but to teach you the state in which life flourishes. When you align with mercy, you align with the current of creation. Resistance dissolves, harshness softens. The body responds immediately to this shift. An unforgiving heart holds weight. It replays wounds, reopens memories, and tightens around past pain. The body absorbs this repetition as tension. Muscles remain braced. The immune system remains alert. Healing slows because the body believes danger is ongoing. Compassion tells the body the threat has passed. Compassion begins inwardly. Many people are kind to others, but merciless toward themselves. Self-criticism, shame, and constant inner judgment weaken vitality. They create a background of stress that never fully turns off. When you learn to speak to yourself with gentleness, the nervous system calms. Calm is not laziness, it is the ground of repair. The Quran repeatedly links mercy with relief. Where mercy enters, hardship eases. This easing is not only emotional, it is physical. The heart that forgives breathes more deeply. Deeper breath oxygenates the body. Oxygen supports healing. What begins as forgiveness becomes physiological restoration. Helping others is not only moral goodness, it is therapeutic. When you relieve another's burden, your own heart expands. Expansion restores circulation of inner energy. The body responds with warmth, ease, and clarity. This is why acts of charity often bring unexpected lightness. The heart was created to give, not to hoard pain. Resentment is toxic, but not in a metaphorical sense. It creates chronic stress. Chronic stress inflames the body. Inflammation is the root of many illnesses. Compassion cools this fire. It does not deny harm, it releases attachment to it. Release frees enormous energy that the body can redirect toward healing. Mercy also dissolves isolation. Isolation weakens resilience. When the heart feels connected to Allah, to others, to meaning, the body gains strength. Loneliness tightens the chest. Connection opens it. This opening supports immunity, digestion, and emotional balance. The Quran encourages patience, forgiveness, and kindness, not as moral burdens, but as protective states. These states preserve the inner environment in which health thrives. Harshness may feel powerful momentarily, but it exhausts the system over time. Gentleness sustains. Compassion does not mean allowing harm or abandoning boundaries. It means releasing hatred from the heart. Boundaries protect the body. Compassion protects the soul. Both are needed. When boundaries exist without compassion, bitterness forms. When compassion exists without boundaries, exhaustion follows. Balance restores strength. Mercy toward others mirrors mercy toward yourself. When you forgive, you learn how to be forgiven. When you give, you learn how to receive. Receiving allows nourishment. Nourishment sustains life. A heart that cannot receive remains deprived even when surrounded by abundance. The body listens to the heart more than to words. You may say prayers, but if the heart is tight with anger, the body remains tense. When compassion enters, prayer deepens naturally. Depth brings presence. Presence brings healing. Opening the heart is not a sudden act. It is gradual. Old wounds may surface as they release. This is not regression. It is clearing. As these layers dissolve, the body regains flexibility. Flexibility is health. Rigidity is disease. Mercy also restores meaning. When suffering feels meaningless, the body weakens. When suffering is framed within divine wisdom, endurance strengthens. Compassion allows you to see your pain as part of a larger story rather than a personal injustice. This perspective lightens the load the body carries. The Qur'an teaches that Allah is closer than your jugular vein. When this nearness is felt, not just believed, the heart relaxes. Relaxation signals safety. Safety enables healing. Compassion is one of the fastest ways to feel this nearness. When you act with mercy, you align with Allah's attributes. Alignment restores coherence within you. Coherence is when thoughts, emotions, and bodily processes work together rather than against each other. Illness thrives in fragmentation. Health thrives in unity. A compassionate heart releases toxins that medicine cannot reach. These toxins are emotional burdens, suppressed grief, and unspoken pain. As they release, the body breathes easier. Energy returns. Sleep deepens. Healing accelerates. Eternal wellness does not mean the absence of trials. It means the presence of an open heart through trials. An open heart remains flexible. A flexible system adapts. Adaptation is survival. Survival rooted in mercy becomes vitality. When compassion becomes your natural state, illness loses its grip. Not because you have defeated the body, but because you have returned it to its original atmosphere: mercy, balance, and remembrance. As these 7 lessons come to rest within you, remember this: healing was never meant to be hunted or forced. It was placed within you from the beginning, woven into your breath, your heart, and your return to Allah. The Quran does not ask you to escape your humanity, but to realign it with mercy, balance, remembrance, trust, and compassion. When you walk this path gently, the body follows the heart, and the heart follows the divine. Whatever state you are in now is not a failure, but an invitation to return, to soften, and to remember. And in that remembrance, you were never broken, only called back to the light that has always been there.